Good morning and welcome to the 9:30 call. Great to see folks here. We'll give it a minute. Get started at
If you're
9:33.
recording and you're not dermaplaning, you're making a big mistake. This skincare method has been around for thousands of years. With the new laws, it's also been a busy day on Beacon.
I think we may have a program change for this week. The folks from Mount Wachusett, I think, can join us on Wednesday to bring some students. When we heard the update from Mount Wachusett, they had talked about how they're supporting students. And so I think we had originally scheduled updates to the field on Wednesday. We may switch that up and because I think that was one of the dates that worked for the students from Mount Wachusett. So stay tuned for that. We'll know today. But it's great to see folks join us. Today we are gonna talk about getting ready for the 2025-2026 legislative session. And last week we had on Thursday, Marissa Fear and Latoya Gale kind of walked us through the FY25 budget and what it meant for people, not just like in theory, but in reality of how it was kind of playing out. And so I think we are going to spend this week really thinking about advocacy kind of big picture. So we're going to go over today with, as we're thinking about the session, there are timelines, there are dates, there's our opportunities. But this will be an ongoing process, but we just wanted to kind of center everybody with the same information this morning. And we at Strategies for Children are relaunching and refreshing our website. And Neri Garcia, our Director of Communications, has been hard at work because when you take almost 25 years of stuff and try to clean it up, it's, you want to be careful about what we're keeping. But as we've talked about, connecting people to people, connecting people to policy, and connecting people to power, connecting people to policy was one of the things we were really thinking about for our advocacy headquarters. And I'm going to surprise the SFC team because what I'm going to do today is share a link that has the content, the beginnings of the content of the advocacy headquarters. There's a whole design phase happening behind the scenes about what that page is going to look like. But as we get started today, kind of so people can follow up, I'm going to show you the content of like all the links that you might need. We know there's an EEC board meeting happening this week. We know some folks want to go testify. So I'll be putting everything in the Google folder, but please know we're also creating this page on our website that will have the information. All right, so let's get started. We know that the legislative session started on January 1st, and it wasn't because it was the first of the year. It was because it was the first Wednesday, which is when the legislative session starts. So if it was January 4th, it would have been January 4th. This year it happened to be January 1st. So can everybody see two newscasters sitting together right now? Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my slides and I'm going to share that. So there's a quick clip that we'll share to kind of get everybody in the same, have the same content information. All right, here we go.
Hill, newly elected lawmakers were sworn in for a fresh 2-year legislative session.
NBC 10 political reporter Matt Pritchard live at the State House for us on the first of the year. Matt, this can often be simply ceremonial. What made today a little bit more significant?
Well, guys, certainly we saw the victory lap being taken by both the House and the Senate, recapping a productive 2024. But what really stood out here was talking about the future and potential changes that may be coming to the process. A day filled with old traditions.
No turning back now, as the LG just said.
Playing host to newly elected lawmakers.
Congratulations.
Governor Maura Healey escorted to both the House and Senate chambers, administering the oath of office and touting a 2-year session filled with past priorities.
There's just a range of things that got done, and an incredibly productive session. It builds on the work we did last year.
What are the big priorities for you in 2025?
Well, look, we're going to continue to be laser focused on cutting costs for residents, for businesses, making things go, really focused on housing, building more housing in the state, and getting after our transportation infrastructure.
Legislative leadership taking a similar victory lap.
We have made historic investments in bringing down the cost of childcare.
We made community college free.
With both Mariano and Spilka criticizing media coverage of their process.
Contrary to what you may have read in the paper, the legislature did, in fact, deliver on that commitment.
These accomplishments, you all know, are consistently overshadowed by a persistent negative media narrative.
Now, with that said, changes to how the legislature operates could be on the way, with President Spilka laying out several ideas, including more public access to conference committees.
Starting with working to ensure the first meeting is open to the public.
Now, one change we know is coming in 2025 is the inauguration of Donald Trump on January 20th. I asked Governor Maura Healey how much energy and effort will be put in by the legislature and by her office to try and counter anything that might be counterintuitive to what they want to do on a day-to-day basis. That's coming up tonight at 5:30. On Beacon Hill, Matt Pritchard, NBC 10 Boston.
This portable warm air blaster.
Home in America.
So what did you see? What did you hear?
900 square foot room from 50 degrees Fahrenheit to.
If you've never seen the Senate President or the Speaker of the House, you got to see them. You got to see inside both chambers. The quote from the Speaker of the House was about childcare. So we know that, there was probably a lot of comments made, but that's kind of what got edited in for the newscast. So I just wanted to give everybody a sense so you could see kind of how things are getting talked about in reporting. This is the most important part of all of advocacy, is who represents you at the State House. And so we'll put these links in chat, but when you, and even if you think it's always good at the start of the session to check in. So you're going to go to this website, wheredoivotema.com, and then you're going to see this form. And you enter in your residential address. And so you have to put your street number, you have to put your street name, then the suffix. So if it's an avenue, street, or a road, then you have to put in your city and town, and then your zip code. So legislators are assigned by all of that information, not the city and town that you live in, not the side of the street that you live in, but all of this information. And then when you put that in, now this is the information for my home address. So you can see at the top, my elected officials are, and it goes through governor, lieutenant governor, secretary, auditor, treasurer, attorney general, U.S. senator, U.S. senator. Everybody in Massachusetts has the same information for those top box. So everybody is represented by the governor, lieutenant governor, and all of those people. They're called the constitutional officers, the secretary, auditor, treasurer, and attorney general. Everybody in Massachusetts has the same 2 U.S. senators, Senator Elizabeth Warren and Senator Ed Markey. At the second part is where my information is unique to my home address. So Michael Morrissey is my local district attorney. My U.S. representative is Jake Auchincloss. I live in the 4th district in Massachusetts. Remember, there are 9 U.S. reps, so there will be 9 different people in that slot. My state senator is Cynthia Stone Cream. My governor's council representative is Mara Dolan. And my state representative is Tommy Vitolo. So when you get to this page, this is the page that you want to remember, that you want to print out, that you want to write down. And you can do this you should have all of this folks that work in your programs do it, your family child care programs, and your families do it. And this is not, You're not telling anybody, you're not lobbying, this is just information about who represents you. When we think about the session, you can see we've already started. So January 1st, the legislators were sworn in and the session starts. On that day, the House elects the Speaker and the Senate elects the Senate President. Both Speaker Mariano and Senate President Spilka were re-elected by their own membership. On January 16th, which is this week, on Thursday night, Governor Healy will offer the State of the Commonwealth Address. It will be broadcast. You can watch it on TV. You can watch it online. She will lay out her vision and plans for the next 2 years. Then the week after that, Governor Healy will release her FY26 budget recommendations. They call it House 1 because it is the first bill. It's House 1. It's the governor's budget in the first year of the legislative session. Then in February, March, we're going to have legislative leaders and committees announced. We're going to have the House file their budget, the Senate file their budget, the conference committee meet, and then fiscal year 26 will start on July 1st. Throughout this process in 2025 and 2026, there'll be bill hearings. This right now is really focused on the budget. Then starting in next January, you'll see that the budget process kind of continues. Hearings will continue through that. The formal session will end. And then we have another election day on Tuesday, November 3rd. And then the January 27, this session will end. And they will start the next 2027 to 2028 session. And so when this is the State House in Boston, maybe if you can use the chat, use your raise a hand or emojis. If you have visited the inside of the State House, either write yes in chat or do an emoji. And of course, I can't see anything because I'm sharing. All right. They call this the People's House. So we hope that people will have a chance to get in to see the house. So we're going to start with the executive branch of Massachusetts, which is Governor Maura Healey, Lieutenant Governor Kim. This is the governor's cabinet. And so you can see this list of people and the agency or department that they oversee. So Secretary Matthew Gorowitz is the Secretary of Administration and Finance. That is the governor's kind of budget office. And so when the governor releases her budget next week, the Secretary of Administration and Finance has been instrumental in that process. And then you can see Secretary Tutwiler from Education. There's a Climate Secretary, Energy and Environmental Affairs, Economic Development, Technology Services and Security, Public Safety and Security, Labor, Workforce and Development, Health and Human Services, Veteran Services, Housing, Livable Communities, and Transportation. So each of these people is kind of the go-to person for the governor on their issue areas, but they also run and manage, in most cases, a big agency that supports this work. Now moving to the legislature, there are 40 state senators and 160 state reps. Like you saw in my results, I have 1 state senator and 1 state representative. And remember, we have 2 U.S. senators and then 1 U.S. representative. It can be very confusing because they use the same titles. So my state senator was Senator Cynthia Cream. My state representative is Representative Tommy Votolo. Starting in this session, we have 3 new senators and 19 new representatives. And that's either because the people that occupied the office did not run for re-election or they lost. And so in the follow-up materials, there is kind of a State House news story that will tell you a lot more about each of these newly elected or kind of moved over, you'll see officials. So the 3 new state senators are in Taunton, Milton, and Falmouth. And what you can see is Senator Driscoll and Senator Fernandez were both state representatives, that the person that was a senator did not run for office. And so they were state rep and now they are state senator. So they are new to the Senate, but not new to elected office at the state level. And then Senator Pacheco did not run for office. So you can see Senator Dooner now is that senator. So those are the three senators. Here are the 19 new representatives. And you can see the city that or town that is listed is where they live. So their districts could be, more than that town, but that is where they live. And again, we'll put the link in chat. I'm going to show you all the resources, but you can read more about each of these people. As we said, Speaker Mariano, Senate President Spilka were both reelected. Speaker of the House is from Quincy. The Senate President is from Ashland. And things that we should think about as we think about this session. There will be a new House Chair of the Joint Committee on Education since Denise Garlick did not run for reelection. So right now, we have a Speaker and a Senate President, but we don't know any of the committee leaders yet or any of the committee members. We know who served on them last session, but so right now, the committees are waiting to be formed. We know that we're expecting the Interagency Task Force on Childcare, a report to be released. We've just confirmed Secretary Tutwiler to be in the 9:30 call on February 11th to run through those recommendations, but that could inform kind of what might happen this session. We also know that the Secretary of Administration and Finance and the co-chairs of the Joint Committee on Ways and Means announced the revenue forecast for fiscal 26 at $43.6 billion. So just like when you're planning your personal budget or your budget for your program, you got to know how much money you have to work with. The administration and the legislature agree on a number that they're going to kind of target when they all do their budget recommendations. We want you, and we're going to spend a lot of time going through the process. So understanding the different branches of government. Tomorrow, we're going to have an Ask Us Anything that we want you to ask us questions that you have as we are developing this advocacy headquarters, because we want it to be user-friendly. So what are the persistent questions? I just got an email because somebody wants to testify or share public comment on Wednesday at the Board of Early Education and Care meeting. And she basically was like, I don't even know where to start. So that's a good question. We want to hear those kinds of questions tomorrow so that we can develop and post resources that will be helpful. And you can ask the question anonymously, but it will make for a good conversation and really help us inform our work as we're planning the advocacy headquarters. You want to think about what are other hot topics. We've heard a lot about transportation. We've heard a lot about housing. We've heard a lot about immigrant families. So we know that these issues are going to be at top of mind as people are developing budget proposals and legislation. Think about how you connect with other organizations and not to be intimidated by the process. And so what do you do right now? So you can check out our first phase of our advocacy headquarters here. I'll put the link in chat. You can confirm who represents you at the State House. You can send a congratulations handwritten note to your state representative and your state senator by Friday. Often we do not assign timelines or deadlines, but I think since we're thinking about this week, if everybody on this call, and I don't even know how many people, we're up to 81 people, if every single person wrote, Dear Senator Cynthia Cream, insert your senator, congratulations on your election. I work in early childhood education. I'm really excited to think about this session, and I'm happy to be a resource. Period. Love, Amy. That's all the letter has to say. You don't need statistics. You should put I work at South Boston Neighborhood House. I see Cheryl Eastry. You want to give a little bit of information, and I'm happy to be a resource for you around young children and families. So if everybody, we're going to check in this week if people can get that done. You can do it on a personal note. You can do it from your organization. I would come to the 9:30 call tomorrow, ask us anything about advocacy, and then we will start inviting the first-year legislators. So those 3 state senators, those 19 state reps to come on the 9:30 call. We often have 2 or 3 come at a time, and we do a meet and greet. And our first question is, tell us a little bit about you, why you decided to run for office. It's a great opportunity to just have a touch point with that elected official. And we always hear from folks who are in their first year, they remember who wanted to meet them when they were first year. We say today's freshman is tomorrow's senior because as they move along, they remember who wanted to meet with them, who wanted to get to know them. We have seen since 2020, when we started doing this on the 9:30 call, people are running for office for so many different reasons. They also are coming into office with a lot of different experiences where maybe we didn't see that 20 years ago. They are coming in from running organizations, from working in state government. So it's a great opportunity. Share that with people in your community. Let your families know. Oh, our new state senator is going to be on the 9:30 call. Tune in and listen. So we will make these slides available. I have not been paying attention to chat. Okay, Danielle, I'm going to go backwards. When we have templates, when we're asked to sign on, contact our reps, it makes it easy to participate. Yep, Noel, thank you. Dylan Fernandez has been very good on childcare so far. Is William related to Kim Driscoll? I don't know. Kim, you have an inside scoop on that? Lots of people have been to the State House. And so in our last, please keep adding questions. If you have questions that you're thinking about for tomorrow, you can add them here today. So yes, Titus, thank you. All 9:30 call slides are in this folder, and I'm going to show you. Thanks to Brian Gold, we added a new folder. So you can see here, this is a folder. It's just a Google. Slides from 9:30 calls. That's where you'll find all the calls. This is our advocacy headquarters content. So Cheryl Eatery did that change. I can see your face. Okay. So here there is a document that's called Meet the Incoming Class. So there's a little bit of a bio. And this is from the State House News Service. Their photo, because right now the website is not updated, but you can read about them, about each of them. So we'll close that. And then here are the key links. Danielle, did that switch? Now I can see you. Can you see key links? So you have mass.gov, also the Child Advocate, because they are kind of independent. Secretary of State, find your elected officials, how a bill becomes a law, how an idea becomes a law. Then we organize it. Executive branch, there's the executive order that the governor did last January. Here's education. So it's all 3 state education agencies, all 3 boards. We always get that question. Where do I find the information about the board? The legislature, the main page, you can see more about legislators, hearings and events, the committees, commissions, how you can create your own bill. It's like a virtual exercise that might be fun to do about the state donut. The state budget process, the constitutional offices, remember that's the auditor, the treasurer, the secretary of state. The judicial branch, cities and towns, they have a list of every city and town website. So you go to a drop-down menu, you find Somerville, and then you can see the city and town. And then state offices and courts. So and up in the constitutional offices, it's all the independent agencies as well. And I know that you're not looking for necessarily lots of things to do to be scrolling, but we want to think about how we can keep all of that information in one place for you. So yes, the advocacy headquarters. As Titus said, this is just the content. But this is why we wanted to send this to you. In that folder, I will also put a sample congratulations letter. We'll put information that we've shared about how to go to a board meeting and share public comment about all the steps there. Because I know folks want to do it this Wednesday. We'll also can put in examples of language of how you do budget advocacy. So we are really thinking about how can we build this resource that's responsive, proactive, and just helpful for you so that when you do decide to do something that there's resource to help you do this. We have often found that we can go get people all riled up and excited, like, yes, I'm going to do it. And then you get off of Zoom and you go, and then there's 9 other things waiting for you to do. So we appreciate that. So we want to make sure that we put together information that's easy to get to. I guess Team SFC, if you have any other things to share, or if anybody has any questions in our last 3 minutes. Kat, it was great to see you in person. Yes. Lauren Cook.
Embarrassing question. Were the state senators also reelected or just the reps?
Everybody, all 200.
Everybody.
I know. I saw you.
My notes. I just didn't want to like.
You came in the middle of that. Yeah. So,
Yeah, thank you.
So of that, there were 3 new state senators elected. 2 of them had been reps, which we often will see. Marissa, I saw you come off. What do you want to say?
I was just about to read Lauren's question for everyone. So
Oh, great. Thank you.
beat me to it.
Lauren, I mean, Marissa, anything that you want to add as we're putting together these resources?
I think the only thing I would add is for the advocacy HQ is you all, prepare for the conversation tomorrow and start to think about some of the questions that you might have. When Amy says that we're trying to make this as user-friendly as possible, part of that is, we want to create content that answers those questions that you all have, or that we can kind of anticipate where there are gaps throughout the legislative session or the budget session. So tomorrow's conversation is going to be really helpful for that too. So I guess as you're reviewing the document Amy's going to share, and then as you think about tomorrow, just keep that in the back of your mind too. Like if you think back on the past 2 years, what were some of those questions that you had? What are some of the things that you don't still understand or that you want to learn more about? Or, you've testified at a board meeting and you needed some resource and it was really helpful to get that. So all of those little pieces will be really helpful for us.
Oh, Tom Weber with some unsolicited endorsement alert strategies, exceptional at this, and everything Amy is sharing is a result of the decades of their experience, lessons learned, and success. Thank you, Tom. Yes. Leanne says, Danielle, I hear you about the templates and agree that they are helpful. Having worked on legislative staff in the past, I saw that anything we can do to make many, oh my God, my chat's all jumping around. I will say that anything we can do to make the message more personal helps a great deal. When legislative staff see many of the same messages, they definitely listen, but an individual message definitely stands out a bit more. And we have heard that over and over and over and over again. So that's why I said a handwritten note. I know we haven't seen, we had our strategic planning last week, and Jay Lee said, like, we haven't even seen each other's handwriting because we all communicate through emails. And so to take 5 minutes to write a personal note. The other thing is we'll put in that folder that where you send it, because right now everybody is kind of in their former offices. All the first-year legislators are in one place. So they're in it's called the bullpen. We can talk more about that. So you just would write Representative Marissa Fear, the State House, Boston, Mass. 02133. But we'll put that in the chat. All right. It's 10 a.m. Yes. We will see you tomorrow. And please, if you have questions ahead of time, we're going to make this tomorrow as interactive as possible, which may send some people running for the hills, but hopefully more people to the 9:30 call tomorrow. So thank you so much. Write your letters, your handwritten notes, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.